Hola, estudiantes. Our topic for today is going to be los verbos reflexivos, or our reflexive verbs. Now, several of you indicated at the beginning of the year that this was an area that you really wanted to focus on. So please make sure that you're watching the video carefully and you're jotting down any questions that you have as we're going over the notes. Alright, let's get started. First of all, let's figure out what is a reflexive verb. Alright, by definition, a reflexive verb describes an action that involves oneself. So the person doing the action and receiving the action are in fact the same. Alright, on your vocab list, you can identify these reflexive verbs by the se at the end of the infinitive form. So, for example, afeitarse, that se at the end indicates that it's a reflexive verb. Now, we can make verbs reflexive, but we have to think about the change that makes in their definition. For example, lavarse means to wash oneself. But just our basic verb, lavar, means to wash an object or an animal. So, for example, I wash the dishes is different than I wash my hands. Alright, so our first step in conjugating these verbs correctly is to first place the reflexive pronoun before the verb. Now remember, our reflexive pronouns are me, te, se, nos, os, and se. So for example, if I want to say I get myself up, then me, and then we've got levanto. So our second step is to conjugate the root verb based on the subject, just like a regular verb. So, in that previous example, yo me levanto, I took the stem levantar and changed it to, conjugated it to levanto. Alright, let's see how you do so far. I would like for you to write these 3 sentences in English, and then go ahead and give me the translation. So go ahead and hit pause, and do so now. Let's see how you did. I take a bath, me baño, Juan gets up, Juan se levanta, and you get dressed, te pones la ropa, or you could write te vistes. Remember, vestirse is an E to I stem changer. Very good. On number 2, please note that se could be several conjugations, so I use one, and then notice my conjugation of levanta is third person singular. Alright, so there's some more information that we can use with reflexive verbs. First of all, our double verb rule. Attach the reflexive pronoun to the infinitive when precedes another verb. So, phrase I like to use is when 2 verbs go skating, the first one goes conjugating. Alright, so me gusta acostarme. Alright, I've got the me gusta, I like, and then we have to change that reflexive verb to me at the end while keeping the root verb in the infinitive form. So, why don't you go ahead and try these 3 verbs. What would the second verb, or these 3 sentences, what would our second verb be? Go ahead and hit pause and give it a shot. Okay, let's see how you did. To take a shower would be, te gusta ducharte. Miguel necesita secarse. And then no queremos levantarnos. I know my subject because of either the conjugation of the verb or the subject. Alright, very good. Another piece of information is that when we're using prepositional phrases such as para, antes de, and después de, we never conjugate those verbs. Alright? So, para, you might want to jot this down on your notes, means in order to. Oh, sorry. We still conjugate the reflexive pronoun, but we leave it attached to the end of the infinitive. There we go. Now para. Para means in order to, so yo necesito un peine para peinarme el pelo. I know that I'm going to change peinarse to peinarme because yo necesito, that conjugation of our first verb. Para, in order to. Antes de bañarse, ella prepara la ropa. So before she takes a bath, she gets her clothes ready. And then después de ducharte, usas una toalla. Right? So after you take a shower, you use a towel. So para, in order to, antes de, before, después de, after. The last little tidbit of information for you guys has to do with it's something kind of nitty gritty, but is really refining your Spanish skills. When using a reflexive verb with a part of the body, we use a definite article. Remember that el, la, los, or las. So, for example, ella se lava los dientes. In English, we say she brushes her teeth. But in Spanish, since the verb lavarse is reflexive, which means the person doing the action and receiving the action are the same, it's understood that it's her teeth that she's brushing. Alright? So, that's why they use the it would be redundant to use the possessive adjective as opposed to the definite article. Make sense? Awesome. Alright, so here's your opportunity to practice with all of these sentences together. So, I want you to conjugate these 5 sentences into translate, these 5 sentences into Spanish. Make sure you hit pause and see how you do. Alright, let's check your answers. We go to bed at 7 p.m. Nos acostamos a las 7 de la tarde. Muy bien. Remember, acostarse is an O to UE stem changer, but since we're in the nosotros conjugation, we do not need to have that stem change. It's outside of the boot. They wake up at 6 a.m. Ellos se despiertan a las 6 de la mañana. Also, despertarse is an E to IE stem changer, and since we are inside the boot, then we are going to make that minor spelling change in the second E. I shower on Tuesdays. Me ducho los martes. So you've got your reflexive conjugation, me ducho, and then you've got los martes. Lots of people write in martes, but that's a false translation. When we're talking about days of the week and things that happen on those days, then we're going to use los. You dry your hair with a towel. Te secas el pelo con una toalla. Alright. And then finally, you all formal, so we're going to be the ustedes form. Wash your hands. A couple things with this one. Ustedes se lavan las manos. Notice that manos is your hands. We're just going to use that definite article las. Manos is one of those sneaky verbs. Even though it ends in an O, it is actually feminine. Alright, so the last part of your notes I would like for you to do is I would like for you to create a recipe on describing how to put together how to conjugate reflexive verbs. Now, this is important that you can really demonstrate that you understand how to put these verbs together. So be creative, be detailed, and I look forward to seeing what recipes you guys put together on Monday. Thank you.